Good afternoon, everybody. August 27th, 2023. You can see I have the B jacked up. I wasn't going to make a video, but I'm doing the clutch slave cylinder. And what I did was I removed the harness. Let me catch up a little bit. Remove the harness. Remove all the wires from the starter. And I'm removing the starter because I can't get the hard line off with the starter solenoid in the way. This is a 72. I know some of you guys are able to do it, but so I'm using a 14 millimeter. This is a ratcheting wrench, as you can see, so it's very convenient. And I'm just going to remove the starter. I mean, it's 2 bolts, so I'm going to just get it out of my way. I usually try not to do extra work, as you guys know, but I'm just going to make it easier for myself right now and remove the starter because I already have the harness disconnected. One of the wires is bad, the one that goes to the relay. It's like barely hanging on. Like there's a section in the insulation that's broken and it's like barely hanging on by a few strands. So that would have got me stuck somewhere. Of course I could push start the car, but so I'm going to repair that. That's an ancillary repair. You can see the harness is hanging down there. See it? I had to get it out of the way anyway because it was right next to the top. It was right next to the clutch line that goes down there. It's hard to see. It's right there. See it? It's in the dark. Let me put the light on. Hold on a second. I'm not going to bleed it now. But there it is, way down there. See that clutch line? There it is, see? And so I'm going to loosen the hard line first, but I'm going to take the starter off using 14 millimeter. Get that out of the way, be good to go. You guys have to get a set of these. Look at this. Ratcheting and swivel head. Doesn't get any easier. I couldn't fit my socket on there because the head of the ratchet wrench hit the starter. Alright, I'm going to get the bottom one. Well, you get the idea. Okay, there's the top starter bolt out. I took that one out first. Then I'm going to get underneath the car and do the second bolt and support the weight of the starter so it doesn't fall and get damaged. Now's a good time to replace your starter if you think it's bad. I'm not going to replace mine because it's shows no signs of being bad at all, so I'm going to keep it. They have these smaller high torque ones and probably make it easier to get to your clutch line, but once I do the clutch line, it's going to be another 20 years before I have to do it again, so that's pointless. Okay, bye. Alright, to get the starter out, the bottom bolt, I use a 14 millimeter. Got these nice swivel heads. They're nice and small so they can get in tight places. So I loosened the bolt with this. Then I just put 2 extensions together with a 14 millimeter deep socket and just by hand got the bolt out. Because once you get it started with this, there's not enough resistance to get the ratcheting action anymore. So you just basically, well, it would be this way. Do this. Do it by hand. 14 millimeter. The bottom bolt was smaller than the top bolt. Don't get your bolts mixed up. Here's my beautiful Lucas starter. Look how huge this thing is for such a tiny engine. I mean, the starter on my Mustang is like this size. Gears are a little chewed up. Just a little bit. It's probably from starting the car in gear. This terminal was not used on mine. This is Just this one. All the big wires were attached to the main bolt here, the main terminal. All the main wires, battery positive, alternator wires, what have you. The only one that connects to this 1/4-inch tab here is the one to start the car. That applies 12 volts probably to the solenoid in here and engages the starter. So I'm gonna keep this starter. It's okay. It's a Lucas. Like I said, it's showing me no signs of. It is a little worn, but you know what? That's fine. That'll last forever. Okay, bye. Oh, so one more thing. The reason why I took the starter out was to get better access to, now I can get my wrenches in there and easily get this clutch line off. I'm taking a view from above here. It's hard to see, but there it is. Not the big nut, just the small one that's on the pipe. You don't loosen the big nut because you don't want that to turn. You don't want the rubber hose to turn. That's connected to the big nut. You're just going to get your pipe wrench, you know, your crow's foot, get it around there and loosen it. And when I say crow's foot, I mean, you know, one of these guys. Not sure what size it is. We'll find out though. Just incidentally, on this starter it says 0672, June of 72. So the car is a 72. So this is the original starter. I don't know if it was ever rebuilt, but June of 72. Okay, come join me into the bowels of the MGB. There you go. I got the 7/16 on it down there, but it's blurry, so I'm gonna. Oh, that sun is like, look at this. I don't want to show it directly, but it is right on me. So I'm getting some good vitamin D. There's some parts of my car I've never seen before. Alright, there's where the starter goes. Look at that beautiful flywheel in there. Alright, what I managed to get on here. See? Here's the clutch line. Now I have plenty of clearance. So I have this is a 7/16 on there. Okay, so I have enough. I have a couple inches here between this and here. So I'm just going to hit this with my arm, with my hand, to break it free. Oh, my big finger's in the way. So let me do that. 1, 2, 3. And right through the oil pan I went. No, I'm kidding, I didn't, but... Alright, it broke, so... Now, fluid is going to go all over the place. Guys, be careful. Do not get this fluid in your eyes. Okay? So I gotta move out from under the car a little bit and finish loosening this and put a pan here or something, because this is gonna start to drip. And you see some signs of clutch fluid already. I don't want to get it on my mat, so I'm gonna move the mat out. Okay, bye. Another option is to bleed it. Not bleed it, just open a bleeder. I might do that. Uh-oh, this is starting to drip here, see? So let me get out of here. Okay, bye. So I started it with the 7/16. Then but then I couldn't get it around it again, so I went up to the larger 12 millimeter. So with the thing angled like this, so I was under the car just doing this. You get at least a quarter of a turn or more every time you do it. Now it's dripping, so it's almost completely off. So I went from the 7/16 and 7/16 to the looser 12 millimeter, and I was just under the car like this, and it's practically off. So the next thing I'm going to do is undo the rubber hose, the nut on top for the rubber hose on bottom. So I'm going to hold the hose on the bottom and then loosen the nut on top, or, well, something like that. Okay, as you can see, there's the pipe, the big nut around it. You know, the rubber line is there, and there's the hard line. I just moved it out of the way. Now I got to get this rubber hose out, so working on that now. It's a matter of holding the top nut and unscrewing the bottom nut, or holding the bottom nut and unscrewing the top nut. Whatever's easier for you. Okay, ladies and germs, I use my cutter here. This thing's great. Look at this thing. I use that to cut the clutch line, and it's not looking too pretty. Let me get some focus on this thing. This thing is arteriosclerosis. Alright, so now I can just get a socket on this thing. On the bottom, deep socket. Unscrew it. Maybe the nut will turn on top, maybe it won't. We'll find out. If it turns, I just have to hold it. Okay, let me show you what I did. I just removed. Okay, what I did first, and this was a good idea, I thought, was I had an old one of these vinyl brake line caps, and I put it over the clutch line just to stop any dripping, okay, from getting in my eyes. Here's the bracket. She's in good shape. I'm gonna wipe it down, and then I'm going to show you how I got this line disconnected. If you come over here, okay, very simple, self-explanatory. Small adjustable wrench on top holding the nut. So I'm not turning the big nut on top, okay? Not turning this, just holding it. Then on the bottom, big 13/16 socket, a couple of extensions, my 3/8 ratchet. Oh shoot. It's my son's new set of wrenches. I don't want to get fluid all over. So anyway, here you go. 13/16 fit on 13/16 fit on this. Okay, and there's a star washer on top too. Okay, here it is. All right, so to show you, so this, you stick the new hose through the bracket, put the star washer on top of the bracket, and then the nut on top. I have all new hardware, so it's all going to go on the car. The easy part is just the slave. So here's the slave. You never have to deal with that over there, that rusty connection. So to get the slave off, I know you guys know how to do this. You take the cotter pin out. Mine's on top. I'll be flipping that and putting it on the bottom. And two big bolts. And that comes right out. Okay? Alright, bye. Okay, I just took the little cotter pin out. I don't know if that's frozen on there. Pretty rusted. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get the pin out, but I'll use a pair of vice grips and squeeze it out, no problem. And there's the two 9/16 bolts. I'm gonna take them out. I don't know if I should try to get this pin out first before I take the bolts out. And you can see how my battery cable line goes there. Goes behind the clutch line there. Kind of routed like that, just so I know. So I'm going to try to get a vice grip and get that out. I don't want to put any stress on the arm that goes inside the transmission. Throw out bearing arm. Not sure what it's called, but somehow I got to free this up here. Okay, I removed the where is it? Big hand's in the way. Hold on. There it is. Slave cylinder. Let's go back over here. Just got to remove the pin here. Actually, I don't have to remove any of this. No, this I just stick into the new one. But does anyone know? Is it supposed to sound like this? Is that right? There's not much bringing it back towards the slave. Like the springiness. So it's like right there. It's like it doesn't push back. See? Is that right? Let me know, guys. So I'm gonna leave everything the way it is. This is not rusted. This can pivot, see? So that's good. The pin is clean. I'll wipe it down. It's okay. The plunger. Okay, bye. Alright, so the slave is out. This pin is ready to go into the new slave cylinder. I got a little sidetracked, and I had to repair the insulation on this wire, which is the wire that comes from your ignition switch. When you go to start the car, I think it sends 12 volts to the solenoid. But the insulation was broken. The wire strands were fine. I thought the strands were all messed up, but they were all intact. I took a close-up picture, which I'll put in the video, and you'll see that they're all intact. I was going to cut and splice. So anyway, what I did was, what you cannot see is, I wrapped electrical tape. First I washed my hands because I had grease all over my hands. You can't work with electrical tape and grease. So anyway, I wrapped electrical tape tightly around the brake and the insulation. You know, so the tape was on both sides of the brake. And then what I did was I cut a piece of shrink tubing long ways, because I can't get the shrink tubing around the end here because of the connector. I'd have to re-terminate this, but this is fine, so I'm not going to mess with it. So what I did was I cut a piece of shrink tubing, and I put 2 tie wraps on each side of where the brake and the insulation is. And that will prevent the tape from unraveling, even though I did a very good taping job. I also cleaned a lot of my terminals here, including that big mama there. All of these ring terminal ones, the ones with the hole in them, they go onto the main stud of the starter. The only one that has its own terminal that doesn't go there is this guy, which is this guy goes on a little male terminal on the solenoid. He just slips right on there. Alright, so now I'm going to be doing the clutch slave cylinder. I'm going to put the new hose on. I'll show you the new parts first. We're back in action. Okay, everybody. Here we are in my trunk where all my inventory is right now. So right now everything is just plug and play. Put everything back together. I'm not doing the bleeding today, but I will fill the clutch master. So here is the big brake line, and that's the part number I used. So this big part, which has threads on the inside and the outside, it's going to go up through the bracket. Okay, so that goes up through the bracket, through the, you know, from under the car, and then you put this external tooth star washer on the top of the bracket. Then that gets tightened onto that. This is the new clevis pin that I'm not using right now. Don't need it. Now this washer goes on the slave cylinder side. Very important. This copper crush washer goes on this side of the pipe. Okay. So we're going to put this all together, and I'm going to tighten everything up, and then I'll take a video. Oh, I forgot to show you this is the uprated, whatever you want to call it. Clutch slave cylinder uprated. It's supposed to be a little bit easier to bleed. I did pay a little extra for it, and you know what? That's a plus. Oh, almost dropped it. Butterfingers. Okay. This is how it came, this particular model. You don't have to change the bleeder because it's already in the right spot. And your incoming rubber line goes here with, mind you, the crush washer, the copper sealing washer there. The copper one. Copper is the brown one. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to put everything together. I'm not sure how I want to do this. I think what I'm going to do is screw the hose into this first, then lightly mount this, then stick this hose through the hole, then tighten, then put the lock washer on top, and then tighten that nut. Because once you put this through the hole, you're not turning this line. Or I'm not turning this line. I don't know how you're going to do it. I'm not going to turn this line. So it can be connected to this. Well, I'm going to try it that way. I mean, you don't want to bend this line, okay? The rubber line. So my idea is to... Actually, maybe I'll put this in the slave first and then just let the slave cylinder... But I won't tighten this yet. Yeah, I won't tighten it. Well, then why should I put it on the slave cylinder if I'm not tightening it? So it's like 6 to 1, half dozen the other. I don't know which way is the right order of doing things, but you'll figure it out. If you're working on this car, you have a little patience and you'll figure it out. Okay, bye. Okay, folks, this might help you. The big nut that came with this hose kit, it was a kit. It's a 15/16, okay? Now, here's the hose. Here's the big side. The big side up top, this is an 18 millimeter. So I'm going to use this wrench here, see? This wrench. So I'm going to use this wrench. And it's a ratchet. See? So I'm going to use this to tighten, to turn this hose. I'm not going to connect the bottom yet. I'm going to use this to turn the hose, tighten it against that nut, which has that star washer in it. Then I'm going to leave the slave cylinder hanging, add the copper washer, and screw that in. The slave cylinder size is, I'll show you in a minute. The slave cylinder size is a 17 millimeter to make things even more fun. So there's your 17 millimeter on the slave cylinder side. Okay, we got the 18 millimeter, slightly larger. I guess they couldn't make them the same size. Slightly larger 18 millimeter. Okay, there. And then you got the big 15/16 nut on top. Alright, let's rock and roll. Alright, here's a shot from the top of the car. You could just see the star washer on top of the bracket. And then the big nut up there, okay? That's the 15/16 nut. Now I'm going to leave them loose. And I'm not tightening these yet. These will get tightened soon. I'm going to do the slave cylinder side, tighten that, mount the slave cylinder, then come back, tighten this up. And then the last part is putting this hard line back in. When you put this hard line back in, nothing should be moving. This is going to be all tightened already, okay? Sorry about the blurriness. There you go. And don't get anything inside of here. Don't get any gunk inside of here. I hope you don't want to get any dirt inside there. Well, I gotta put the phone down to check. Make sure it looks pretty clean there. Okay. Okay, what I did was I chose a procedure and I went with it. This is my 18 millimeter. Okay, 18 millimeter. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Is that a 19? Oh well. Whatever it is. I tightened this hose from the bottom. I didn't even have to hold the top nut. The big, whatever it is, 15/16 nut that's on top of the bracket. Because once you start tightening this hose, that nut will just grab. The lock washer will grab. So I just drove it home. I used this nice 19 millimeter ratcheting wrench here. Get a set of these if you don't have them. They just make life easy. Alright. You know, here's a close-up. It's got the ratcheting heads there. So now the hose is locked in. I cannot really rotate this hose much. So now I'm going to put this end into the slave cylinder with the copper washer and tighten it. I can't mount the slave cylinder. I can't mount it yet. I have to rotate it onto this first. You'll see. Okay, bye. Alright, I have no idea what this is recording. I just balanced the camera on my jack stand. So here's what I'm talking about here. I'm going to put the lock washer on. Simply do this. Okay. Now I have to get the appropriate tool. I think this was a 17. $17 seems to fit. I guess the idea is that this will just, yeah, that'll definitely be happy making it over to there. Okay. That'll, alright, I'm gonna just shut the cap. I'm gonna just tighten this. It'll be easier to finish tightening it. Oh, okay. So now I'm gonna, let me pick up the camera. I hope that all got on the video. So now I'm gonna put this plunger, into here. Okay? And then mount this on the car. Okay? 2 bolts. Right. Okay, so I push the clutch plunger pin inside the little rubber hole. There, see? So that's in. Then I threaded both these bolts by hand. Do not pick up a wrench until these are threaded by hand at least 5 turns. Now you could drive these 2 9/16 bolts home and then give this line just one last tighten right here. I already tightened it, that's not going to leak, but I'll do it, I'll just double check it. It's not going to turn much. Okay, I got to charge my phone, I'm down to 6% here. Let me just get a view back here. Let me put the torch on so we can see what's going on. That's what that looks like. Seems to have free movement there. Okay. So I'm going to tighten everything up and then connect the hard line on top. Fill it with fluid. Well, tighten. Then fill it. Then, no, put the hard line on. Thread it by hand. Okay, thread it by hand. And then tighten it. Then I'm going to fill the master cylinder with fluid, but I'm not bleeding today. That's for another day. Okay, bye. Okay, folks, phone is charged, and I mean, my car has somebody painted it with a spray can. Okay, gave it a nice, you know, pretty cool look. I'm gonna get it painted one day, but please, some of you ladies and gentlemen have beautiful paint jobs. Look what happened, a drop of brake fluid. Now, of course, I know this, but it already ate up the paint right here. Here's where the drop was, look. So just be careful, okay? Alright, everybody. Here's the finished product. I still got the bleeder hose on there, but the bleeder's closed. I had a helper come out, but let me tell you something, guys. Oh, first of all, very important. The starter. Okay, the starter. You're going to get the bottom bolt in first, and what you're going to do is you're going to hold the starter in there from under the car. None of the wires are connected. None of the wires are... The clutch is all done. You can do the whole clutch thing, slave cylinder. The starter goes in last. So all your clutch garbage could be done. I mean, the bleeding doesn't have to be done, but all the clutch stuff is done. Then you angle the starter up, you put the snout inside the transmission, and what you do is you get, I think I put them away already, but you get this. You get 2 of these, okay? 2 of them. Here, you're not even going to use a ratchet. You get that bottom bolt in. You hold the starter with one hand. Okay, make sure you hold on. I gotta put the phone down. Here's my setup. 14 millimeter, I think it was. Okay. You stick the bolt in the socket, and the bolt has the washer. You can't use a deep socket. I tried to use a deep socket, and the bolt just pushed down into the deep socket. That was useless. The bolt went way down here. So you stick the bolt in here, you get it ready. You lay it on your chest while you're under the car. You hold the starter up. Then you get that bottom bolt and you get it all the way in. Okay? Thread it by hand. It'll go in easy. Also clean the bolts off. Okay? Then you go to the... Once you have the bottom one in as much as you can, don't tighten the bottom one. Just get it in as much as you can by just turning this, like this. You know, with whatever hand you're comfortable with. The starter's heavy, so if you're not able to do it, have someone do it for you or have a helper. Then what you do, once the bottom one is in as much as you can get it by hand tighten, you go to the top and you put the top bolt in, okay? I used one of these. These are a godsend. I am so glad I bought. I used one of these for the top. Not sure what size it was, 19 millimeter. Whatever it was, 18, 16, I don't know. And you do not. Now the starter's going to be hanging over. It's going to be hanging down. You have to hold the starter into its mounting location against the tree. You have to hold the starter against the transmission. Then screw the top bolt in by hand. Get it in about a 1/2 inch. It should go in easy. Do not cross thread. Then you drive the top bolt all the way home. Then you get under the car and you use the ratchet with this setup here. And you drive that home. Then you hook up all your wires. So let's see what everything looks like. There you go. Beautiful. There's my repair. The repair is a piece of electrical. There was a section of insulation missing. So I wrapped it with electrical tape. Then I cut a piece of shrink tubing long ways. And I tie wrapped around the thing. So that's not going anywhere. Then I kind of gravity bled this. Now, you know, hardly any fluid came out. But what I did was I had the bleeder closed. This is before my helper came down. Now, I had pedal, guys, before my helper came down. Just by pressing the clutch many times, then opening this. Then sometimes I left this open and I pressed it. Made sure I always had fluid in the master. And I had pedal and the thing was actuating. I had beautiful pedal. So just doing, I couldn't believe that I had pedal because I read about that these are so hard to bleed. And I was like, you know, of course I had zero pedal at first. I mean, nothing. Just down at the floor. And I did it, you know, pump, 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 whatever. All right, so then I had a helper go in the car, press it like 5 times and hold it. Then I undid the bleed, watched the fluid come out. Then I closed, while they were holding it to the floor, I closed the bleeder. Okay? Oh, then you gotta watch the master. Every time you do that cycle, you have to add brake fluid to the master. Otherwise, it's gonna go below the holes, and you're gonna get air in the system. So every time you do the bleed process where you open the bleeder and fluid gushes out, then you close the bleeder, you need to add to your master. Okay? Now it's not going to deplete the whole master just when you open the bleeder then close it, but it does go down. It will go down considerably. So just each time add to the master, have your helper do it, and I got perfect pedal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to balance this. I don't know if I always try these things. I got to get a phone thing. I'll show you. All right, maybe this will do it. I hope that'll do it. All right, I'm going to go in the car and I'm going to hit the pedal. And hopefully that's recording. Here we go. Bleed is closed. Okay, ready? Clutch down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Great resistance. I don't think I ever had clutch resistance like this. Now, of course, the reservoir didn't go down because the system's closed now. I don't even need this hose on it, okay? So there you go. As a matter of fact, take this hose off. History. This was a non-stick skillet, but all the non-stick got all scraped off. So now it's brake fluid catch pan. Brake fluid catch pan. Okay. So what else? Then you know, clean all your wire terminals while you're under here. And here's a brake line I neglected to do. So that one's next. You guys watch my brake line video. I thought the front ones were okay. But this one running across here, I'm going to have to do that one. I have the whole kit, so it's pretty straightforward. You could see. But then I'm going to have to bleed again. I am really getting a lot of practice at bleeding, let me tell you. Alright. Zoom out. Now I was going to do the Moss thing where he says to, and I might still have to do it. You take this out. You take your clevis pin out. First you take your lock pin out, you take your clevis pin, and after you open the bleeder, when the person has the pedal to the floor, you push this plunger in, and that allegedly gets the rest of it out. But this is the upgraded slave cylinder, so I do not think I have to do that, because I have pedal, and I never had a pedal like this before. I never had pedal like this before. Take some pictures. Starter wires all cleaned off, secure. Starter's pretty heavy. Good starter. Please, ladies and gentlemen, watch your eyes. Do not get brake fluid in your eyes. And you know, if you don't want to do stuff like this, don't do it, but don't go blind. Brake fluid is very harmful to your eyes. I guess if it happens, just flush it out. Go to your sink, get the shower thing, and flush it out, and then go to the emergency room. Or call 911. I don't know. Just don't go blind. You know, cars are supposed to be fun, but, you know, these fluids are dangerous. Alright? Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. I know I ended the video, but there's my master. I wanted to say that you don't just take this cap off, okay? You need to pull out this bladder, okay? Otherwise, you're just pouring fluid into this. So be careful not to do that. Otherwise, you won't know that your master is emptying, and you'll get all sorts of air in there. So I'm just going to put a little bit more in here, because when you put the bladder in, it's going to displace some of the fluid. I spilled fluid, but that's okay. Look how clean it is. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for watching. Okay, just gonna... As you can see, I don't know, the camera shut off, but unfortunately I was not able to shift the car. I was not able to shift the car into gear, so the clutch is shot. I'm not sure, maybe the car needs a transmission, or probably just a clutch. Must be stuck. I don't know. This is beyond my capability as far as tools and stuff. So I'm going to have to bring it to a place. The slave cylinder seems to be working, but something's not disengaging the clutch. It's not disengaging the clutch, so I can't shift out of gear. I've seen a number of people have this issue online. So I guess I'm not driving it for a while. that's okay, you know. Getting the bugs out. That's what we're doing. So I'll just save up the money and get a transmission. It's not a hard job to do, or I could try to do it myself. You know, I'm trying not to have the backyard look like a service station if I could help it. But of course, she starts right up and runs great, but not going to go anywhere without your clutch working. So, all right, everyone, I really appreciate you spending the time with me on my journey. So I'm so glad I didn't buy all the bearings and wheels and tires, because there's no rush for that now. So I'll just enjoy the other cars. All right, I didn't close the hood for a reason, so it's open right now. Okay, thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed your summer, and I'm looking forward to harvest time. Hope you are too. Take care now. Bye. Just one more thing. I signed off already, but I watched a YouTube video where you could unstick the clutch from the flywheel. You know, if jack the car up, put the rear end on stance, start the car in first gear. Of course, the rear end is off the ground, right? You start the car in first gear, and you're going, and you're going, and you're going. You step on the gas, and then I think you step on the brake really fast with the clutch in. Or maybe the clutch is always in during this. The clutch is always in. You step on the gas, then you step on the brake, and that tries to free it up. Yeah, you're on the clutch, so the clutch is disengaged. So you step on the gas like you're driving in first gear, but the rear end of the car is off the ground. That's what you do. Well, I don't know if I'm saying this wrong, but some of you might have seen those videos. Or you can go down to the block and do it, but I don't want to take that chance going down the block, so I'll probably just do it here in the driveway when I get a chance. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.